Welcome to the channel. Thanks for being here. I'm Nero. We're continuing to look at the Battlready decks, a new product by 1939 Games that is available on the shop. Currently, as you can purchase a single, the Salvation in Hand here, or you can get a bundle which has 5 decks in it. It looks like the decks will rotate daily, I think. So it's not going to be a one-time thing and then you can't get it. It's just going to be when the particular deck that you might want is available on the store. There's currently 7. I don't know what the full amount is, how many decks that they're planning to do, but I thought there was going to be 5. We're now at 7. So keep them coming because I think they're great. Full disclosure, I am a member of the Cards Contributor Program. I am not, however, endorsed by, paid by, or receive compensation from 1939 Games. My thoughts and opinions are my own, and it is my objective view. The current deck that we're looking at is Blood and Iron, which is a Germany-Britain aggro deck. The community will refer to the deck as Combined Arms or the Combined Arm deck or the CA deck. In the store, it is listed as Blood and Iron. So we'll take a look at it. It's got one of it may be the most aggressive curve of, well, it is the most aggressive of the 7 decks that we've seen so far. 18 1-drops, 15 2-drops, predominantly units. It's interesting that the Combined Arms strategy is a military strategy, which is a type of force multiplier, or the thought process behind it is if you have different types of units on the battlefield, it acts as a force multiplier. And the deck plays out very much the same, so I think the flavor of the deck is excellent. So you'll notice that we have in here, we have tanks, we have infantry, we have fighter, we have a bomber, and what the deck attempts to do is establish a board presence quickly, and then it's going to start buffing units based on the different types of units that you have on board. So for example, if we look at Humber, it's a 1-3 tank. It does have Fury, which is a mechanic where the unit gets to attack twice. So for 1 credit, it's doing 1 damage, and then another credit does a 2nd damage. It gets to attack twice. But if you have an infantry on the field, if you have a plane and you play a Combined Arms on Humber, it's going to get +1/+1 for each unit type that you control. So your Humber could be a 3/6, 4/7, maybe more, depending on how you play the game out. So a Humber can be attacking for 8 damage because it attacks twice. So it's attack power times 2, as long as you have the credits available. So you want to establish a board presence utilizing Combined Arms and different types of units on the battlefield, so the sequencing and the turn sequencing is important. Another thing that you'll do is establish that board presence. There's 1 copy of Blitzkrieg in the deck. If you have 2 Humbers in the front that aren't currently buffed and you play Blitzkrieg, and those are the only 2 units that you have, those 2 units are attacking for 16 damage. So it can do a lot of damage quickly. Its intention is to get it done quickly by utilizing unit types and the Combined Arms card, which you can also get from the 20 Panzer. But we'll take a look at the deck as a whole. You have the Panzer I-B 1-2 tank, which becomes veteran and provides another copy of itself when it attacks the headquarters. Panzer II-A 1-3 tank with blitz and smokescreen. 158 NACHSCHUB, which is a great elite that's in the deck. If you destroy a unit, it adds 2 extra credits temporarily for that turn. And I'll say this, if you look at the elites that are in so far, that are in the decks that 1939 is providing, you are not being shortchanged. The elites are kind of the elite of the elites, if you will. You have the NACHSCHUB in this deck. You have HEINKEL HE 115. It's pretty much standard auto include in every German deck that there is. There's KOMET. Some people even called for that to be removed from the game. It's not going to go anywhere. All the cards that are in the deck are going to stay around, I think, for 1.5 years at a minimum, I think is what it is. So you don't have to worry about any of the cards in here being rotated out. All right, so again, we'll just continue on with the deck. You have Humber, which we've talked about. Combined Arms is buffing a tank unit. 5th Parachute Brigade, low-cost infantry that you'll need on the field for the Panzer III-T. A limited card, 3 copies of it. It's all you can have in a deck. All 3 are provided. Basically a staple in nearly every German deck that there is. HENSCHEL HS 126. Don't pull a Nero and think that there's a glitch in the game. Read the card. Reading the card explains the card. So when I first played it and it didn't buff a unit, I had a unit in the front line. I played HENSCHEL, tried to buff it. It didn't buff. Thought there was a bug. But the card says that you give a friendly tank +1/+1 for each non-tank. It's the combined arms strategy, right? For every non-tank in the same line, right? So if you have a Humber in the support line, an infantry in the support line, you play your HENSCHEL targeting the Humber, it's going to buff the Humber. If Humber is in the front line and you play it, it's not going to buff it because it's not in the same line. 22nd Infantry, much like the elites, the specials that are in the deck are staples in whether Germany main or Germany ally. Again, not being shortchanged. Most of the elites and specials that we've seen so far in the decks that have been revealed are what people chase after. You don't have to spend the time necessarily to go find all that. You're getting them for a price point that we'll talk about in a second that I think is more than reasonable. 22nd Infantry, 2 copies. That's your draw engine. 64 Panzer for credit acceleration. Heinkel, more card draw. Also using that for combined arms and HENSCHEL of targeting a unit. 2nd Para C, Scott Fury, so it attacks twice, but you pincer it up or tag team it with another unit, say Humber. If Humber is buffed up and it attacks 2 units, it's automatically destroying both units. The deck is trying to get as much damage done quickly, either through a buffed unit or the Blitzkrieg option, but there are 2 orders in the deck for removal. You have the 8, I'll probably pronounce this wrong, FALLSCHIRMJÄGER. Another elite, 3/2, Fury, attacks twice. It is infantry though, not tank. 20 Panzer, what can you say about it? The German Sherman, fantastic special. Can only run 2 in a deck. Both are included in this deck. Phenomenal card. Play it, draw a 35T and a combined arms. So you're going to have, what, six ways to get combined arms. You have 4 that are in the deck, and then 2 that you get off of the 20 Panzer. Panzer III-H, another awesome special. Draws a card, goes 3 deep, you draw a card, and a Comet. So again, the specials and elites are awesome in the decks that we've seen so far. I will say, too, if you purchase the U.S. Poland Exile deck and the Blood and Iron deck, which is Germany and Britain, you really now have 3 decks. Because if you want to build a U.S. frontline deck, which is a meta deck that's been played for a long time, that is a U.S. and German ally, the majority of the specials that are in this deck are used in the frontline deck. So you would have a U.S. Pole Exile deck, you would have the Blood and Iron deck, or the Combined Arms as we call it, which is German and Britain, and then you would have pretty close to finishing the U.S. frontline, which is U.S. and German. So when you look at where the product is positioned, both from a price point and from optimization, I think the value is tremendous, and I'm just giving you my honest opinion of it. If you want to play the game for free, you most certainly can. And you don't have to spend any money to play the game. But there are levels of decks, right? So the starter decks that you get when you enter the game, they're not going to be competitive. They're not designed to. They're designed to give you a feel for the game, learn the mechanics, and you'll start accumulating wild cards, putting decks together. Then you can play the meta decks, the high tournament decks, highly optimized. It's going to take a while to get there, right? You have to grind it out, get your wild cards. The product that's designed here is at a price point. So if we look at a starter deck as being, let's say, 0, and a meta deck or a highly optimized deck is going to be 100, this is probably putting you around 70, 75, right, on that scale. maybe even a little bit higher, maybe 80, because you pretty much you're getting an almost fully ready optimized deck. It's still giving you some room to grow, learn the deck, and add cards as you need, but it's not even really a midway point, slightly past that. So for 20 to 25 US dollars, you're going to get a ton of gameplay. You're going to get a lot of hours in. Yes, you can field marshal with the deck. Yes, you can win with the deck. Will you compete at the utmost highest levels? No, you're going to need the highest optimized versions of that, but you are getting the head start that you get on purchasing the product if you want to play competitive. Not everyone does, but if you want to make field marshal and start that journey to play competitively, I think the products that are in the store, the battle ready decks, are tremendous value, more than reasonable, especially if you look at cost of ownership and the amount of hours that you'll play with it. So we'll get into some game action, see what's going on, see how they do. Thank you for being here. Stay safe and be well.